Alf Project. This is a TV movie that I'd never seen before, and this is now part of my thing of I review a current movie playing in theaters or on streaming on Fridays, and then on Saturdays I review a movie that's older that recently came out on physical media on 4K, Blu-ray, whatever, and we just talk about it. This is a weekly thing I do on my channel, so if you like that sort of thing, like, share, and subscribe. And so this just came out on Blu-ray, so we're gonna talk about the Blu-ray, kind of what's on it and all that stuff, and we're gonna talk about the movie first. So I was a weird kid. I guess I'll tell this little story real quick. I was a weird kid back when I was growing up. I was one of those kids that I didn't like current things, like, and I still kind of don't. And what I mean by that is like the music I listen to. I don't listen to new music. I listen to classic rock. I listen to all this older stuff that's way beyond my years. I watch a lot of older films, and I also watch a lot of newer stuff, and participate in newer stuff. But for the most part, when I was a kid, I was watching older TV shows and movies that I just had no business knowing about. Some of that came from my parents, like, oh, this thing. And I think that's just where I found my enjoyment. It's just in these older things that got me into collecting VHS. And one of those older things that I was obsessed with was Alf. Just loved that show. I had the DVD sets. I sadly don't have them anymore. They had these old DVD sets that were really bad quality, and they didn't. And I got rid of them because they don't have menus on them. Like, you couldn't just push play all and it play all the episodes. You had to select each episode individually on each disc. It was really bad design. Anyways, one of the things that sucked is I watched that show over and over and over again. But I was really shocked when I got to the finale for the first time of the show. And it ended on this cliffhanger, and spoilers for a show that's like almost 40 years old. Probably is 40 years old. I don't know how old Alf is. It's old. It's a show from the 80s, but it's either 30, 40 years old, somewhere in there. Anyways, you get to the end of the show, and the government finds Alf, and his family leaves him behind and gets stranded. And this finale was like, oh. Like, there was just no resolution to it. Years later, I found out there was a movie called Project Alpha. There was no way of watching it. I think there was a DVD. It's out of print, I think. And then this Blu-ray was coming out, and I saw it, and I'm like, I love Alf. I gotta watch this movie. Pre-order. Now, before watching this movie, I'd heard this reputation of this movie, because if you don't know what this movie is, it's basically a TV movie. Because I guarantee you, there are a lot of Alf fans who probably don't even know what this movie is, because it's just been dismissed as just something that didn't happen from the fans and just the people who made it. This is basically a TV movie that continues off of the finale. The government has Alf, and it's not great. I wouldn't say I hated the movie. I actually kind of enjoyed it, because Alf is such a fun character that a lot of his lines and jokes within the movie are funny, and they work really well still. Just the main problem with this movie is that if you're an Alf fan, this is a slap in the face. It's just to what happened at the end of season 4 and just the show overall. First of all, we don't have the Tanner family, which is the main reason fans were very upset with this movie. If you don't know, the plot of Alf is that he's an alien that crash lands and ends up in this family's garage. And then he forms a bond with them, and they become a family. It was a family sitcom with an alien, basically. Like the basic, you think of your basic family sitcom from the 80s, except with an alien. That's basically what Alf was. And it was fun, it worked, and it still has a lot of charm to it. I think it's actually still a fun show, honestly, if you want to watch it. You can watch it on Tubi and stuff, or other places. But it's a really bizarre movie in the sense that, like, the Tanner family, you would think that Alf would be trying to get back to his family that he loved and cared about. No, no mention of that. They never actually ever show up in the movie or go looking for Alf. They're mentioned in the movie in a few weird lines at the beginning about how like they're at some like program that living, I think, in Alaska or something crazy. It's just really bizarre. Like I think what it is, I don't know if this is true. Someone can confirm this in the comments down below. I heard somewhere that basically the some of the actors on the show didn't like doing the show. They thought it was kind of beneath them, but it was just kind of worth the money. And then when they got to season 4, they just got tired of doing it, and they're like, it just needs to come to the end. So that's why they canceled the show. Because I think Alf was popular enough that they could have kept going. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I remember reading that. So I don't think any of the cast want to return. Also, this movie came out a couple years after the show had ended, so a lot of the kids had kind of grown up and stuff a little bit, which I understand, but that's what's weird about this movie, is it just doesn't also follow the events of it. And then the other part with this movie is Alf's character is really bizarre in the sense that his jokes and one-liners are all the same, but the main problem is at the end of the 4th season of the show, before it got canceled, the finale, he got a call from his kind who he thought had died, and they accidentally left him behind, and then the government got a hold of him, right? There's no, and there was definitely a lot of episodes where you saw how Alf misses his family. He wanted to get back to his family, you know. I mean, before this had happened, he just presumed they were all dead because his planet literally blew up, right? But that's the thing about how there were several episodes about how sad he was without his family or just his people, you know. And so you would think that this dude would be so desperate to get back to them, but he's just kind of not. And at the end, he stays on Earth and works with the government, which is just really weird and bizarre. It doesn't make a lot of sense for the character to do, and it doesn't really continue well off of the finale of the season of the show. And so it's just this really weird, bizarre movie that I'm happy I watched just for the sake of seeing it, and I did get some laughs and I kind of enjoyed the movie, but I'm never going to watch this again. It feels so disrespectful to the Alf franchise, I guess, and I'm happy that I watched it too, because in a way it gave me some closure with what happened, but I'm also like, this is not the real finale. And I've heard there was actually a reboot announced of Alf that got canceled about him being locked in Area 51. I don't think that personally would have worked, because of the fact that I would have watched it. I would have been a hell of excited to watch it. But after seeing this movie, I kind of feel like that wouldn't have worked. Anyway, so this Blu-ray, it's pretty simple, no slipcover. It's I'm not sure. It's Liberation Hall is the company that put this out. It's right about $15, which I think is a great deal for this. It's got a interview and commentary by creator Paul Fisco, photography scene index. I will say this movie looked very nice, very well cleaned up. It is probably the best this will ever look. I don't think we're ever getting a 4K of Project Alf, right? So it looked really solid for what it was. And yeah, I think it's, if you really like Alf, it's worth watching. It's worth the money. $15, pretty good deal for this, pretty cheap. And yeah, that's that. I'm just surprised that this got a Blu-ray at all, so I think that's 100% worth the money, if you ask me. And yeah, that's kind of my review of Project Alf. Very happy I watched this movie, but just a movie that I just did not understand what the hell it was.